The Athletics NFL draft expert. He's been researching the NFL draft for nearly 20 years to create the definitive resource for fans and football insiders alike. And that sounds asinine because I'm looking at his face and there's no way this person is 20 years old. So unless he was doing it as an embryo, and he may have been, I find it hard to believe that he's running the definitive draft guide known as The Beast. It's available today at theathletic.com. And he's also a barbecue pitmaster. We'll get to that in a second with him because I want to question his expertise there.
He's accomplished a lot, huh?
I mean, at a very young age, yes, it would appear. Yeah. So thank you, Dane, for being on the show with us and explain to us how it is that you became an NFL draft expert. How does one, I would imagine in this particular space, I just got back and I saw Mina Kimes, and for all of the interests that she has in the world, and they are varied, nothing is more interesting to her than mock drafts. And I just find it super bizarre. Like, I don't understand the redoing of mock drafts again and again and again.
That has to disappoint you so much coming from Mina Kimes.
I just don't understand it. I'm wildly confused by it, but this is an area that many people care about. And you, thank you for joining us, Dane, have been caring about it since when? How exactly did you become a draft expert?
Well, scouting is always what I've wanted to do. Going back to the first time I created a draft guide was my freshman year dorm room back at Mount Union in 2005. So been doing it for a while now. And, it's the ultimate hope for fans, right? Is the idea of, okay, this is how we can get better if we draft this player and that player. And, it's kind of a reminder that the NFL is king when we're here in April and the NFL draft is still driving a lot of the conversations that sports fans are having. But also it's the ultimate marriage of college football and the NFL, two of the biggest, if not the two biggest sports in the country. So, there's a lot of reasons for the popularity. And I mean, I'm thankful and blessed enough that there is that popularity. It allows me to have this job and create a document like this, which is really cool this year. It's not just a PDF. It's an interactive microsite where there's over 2,600 prospects on there. There's 400 reports, all the NFL verified testing information. You can check it all out on The Athletic. And so people have been really digging it, and it's cool to take it to these heights this year.
Put it on the poll. Do you want an interactive microsite with your football at Le Batard Show?
PDF is fine.
Can you tell me, more responsible for your great skin, youth or moisturizer?
Ooh.
Genetics, right? I mean, look, I've always looked younger than I am. And I'll appreciate that. I'm almost 40 and I'll appreciate that now, when I get into my 40s, but I have 4 kids. And wow. So that weighs on you a little bit, right? Especially when, you've got soccer and baseball and dance, and I've got twins. And so, I don't feel as young as I used to. I'll put it that way.
It does look like Stugotz maybe like 30 years ago.
In my prime.
Like the hat, the outfit.
Kidding
I'm
me?
just saying, like, Stugotz looked like that at 8.
I look like Clooney.
Like they're wearing the same outfit. It's just he looks.
They
better.
Don't look alike, and they don't. No,
I'm better looking.
No,
yes, yeah. In my prime, Dan. I mean, come on.
The league verified testing information that you have for more than 2,000 prospects. How is it that you go about beginning to tackle that amount of research?
Yeah, it's just my relationships in the league. I wouldn't be able to do this job without my network of scouts that I rely on to help me gather all this information. And I try to, my dream was always to scout in the league. And then when I was trying to break into the league, I started doing it on the media side. And I was like, okay, well, this is kind of fun because I'm not scouting for just one team or one roster. I'm doing it for 32 teams, and I can do it from a very generalized standpoint. And so I wanted to create a guide that I would want to read and I would want to consume. And so I want to know, okay, what's the 40-yard dash for all these guys? What's the vertical? I want to know, just for comparison purposes, what is all the testing information? And so, we have the combine, that's 300-ish type players, but all the pro days, all the workouts, I want to be able to get all that information. And so definitely proud of the fact that you're not going to find this information elsewhere besides the Beast with all the NFL verified testing, 40s, heights, weights. We're not relying on what the schools say they are, height, weight. We're going to get the exact arm length for all of these guys. And so it's really helpful for me in my process. And I know fans just really eat it up.
Our draft expert, Greg Cody, had 12 exactos last year. I'm wondering how many you had.
Yeah, in terms of like nailing the first round picks.
You got it. Nail the pick, nail the team they're going to.
Exacto.
Yep.
The exacto wasn't clear enough for you just by calling it
capital E.
Calling it an exacto didn't clue you in to the great expertise of our 70-year-old veteran of the draft who takes great pride in kicking the ass of Mel Kiper every year with his exactos.
That's true. I only do one mock draft, by the way. I don't do mock draft 0.5.0, 6.0. Come on. One mock draft is enough. We all love mock drafts. Second biggest day in the NFL behind the Super Bowl. Let me ask you a question.
You can tell me who's going 2 overall.
He hasn't done his research yet.
I think Travis Hunter right now, but I'm still in mid research. Right. But Dane, let me ask you this.
He didn't answer the other one.
Right.
Can we get the answer
question.
to his exacto question?
Yeah, he's evading the jury.
I'll be honest. I don't remember. I don't think it was 12. It was probably 9 or 10.
That's credible.
It's I care more about my rankings, to be honest, in the mock draft. Like I care about, okay, I had this player ranked here, and maybe he didn't go that high on draft day, but in retrospect, as we look back, okay, he should have been that high. So I kind of look at it from that standpoint as opposed to the mock draft. But of course, yeah, you want to get that final mock draft right. This year will be tough because I think, Cam Ward 1. I do think Travis Hunter 2, Abdul Carter 3, and then it becomes a big crapshoot because there's a lot of differing opinions. This is a different draft class in the top 10. We're not going to have 10 true top 10 guys. So there's a wide ranging of opinions from different teams about how the next order should be.
Do you agree with what I think is fairly common thinking that if this were last year's draft, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders would probably be the 5th and 6th rated quarterbacks, and therefore they're going to be overdrafted this year simply because they're the best available quarterbacks, not because they really deserve to be 1 and 5 or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. When you look back at last year, none of these quarterbacks are going ahead of Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May 1, 2, 3. I think the debate becomes, okay, who would have been that 4th quarterback between Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, and then the group that we have this year. And it was interesting. Cam Ward actually declared last year. He entered his name into the draft, and then largely due to NIL and transfer portal, he changed his mind, transfers to Miami, has this outstanding season. And I think when you look at Cam Ward, you're encouraged by the progress. He was a wing T quarterback in high school, goes to Incarnate Word and gets better and better, goes to Washington State, gets better and better. And then his 5th year at Miami, he was at his best. And so you're encouraged by the ability to progress every year, get better. And you think, okay, he's 22 now. What's he going to look like at 25? Is he going to continue to improve? And I think that's what really you're banking on. And I think at the combine, it became pretty clear Cam Ward was going to be the first pick. It was more of a question, okay, will the Titans stick and pick? Or could we see a trade up to number 1? The Giants, we know how desperate they are for a quarterback. Would they be able to do it? And as closer we get to the draft, it becomes pretty clear the Titans are ready to stick and pick. And I think you understand why, because if you don't have an avenue to a quarterback, what are we doing, right? And so if the Titans don't take a chance on a guy like Cam Ward, then what is their next best option? And it's hard to come to a solution that you feel good about. So if you think Cam Ward can evolve into a top 14 type of quarterback in the league, I think you have to roll that dice and see what happens.
Is stick and pick yours, or is that something that's the parlance of the industry because it just rhymes? You could just say stay there, but you're enjoying saying stick and pick.
It just rolls off the tongue, right? I mean, it sounds good.
Is it yours though? Is
like
it yours? Like, do you have it copyrighted? Is that exclusive to the Beast?
I don't know that I definitely don't have it copyrighted. I'm probably sure I've heard it elsewhere. But yeah, I mean, now that you mention it, maybe I should check into that.
Is that hyphenated? I'm just curious. Stick and pick or no hyphens?
Yeah, probably 2 hyphens in there. Stick and pick. Yeah,
I think so. I think so.
Dane, is there a chance that the Titans don't stick and pick? Because we decided, I don't know, 3 months ago that we were going to do a watch party for the NFL draft in Nashville because they had the number 1 pick. And it was a dicey decision because should they trade out, we'd just be in Nashville for absolutely no reason watching the NFL draft. So as we're getting closer, it looks like it was a safe decision, but is there any chance that they can be blown away with a package and we will just be sitting in Nashville to watch a team pick at 6 or something?
There are worse places to be for, to kind of watch the draft. But I would be surprised at this point. The Titans have not really hid their interest for Cam Ward. And with a first-year general manager, Mike Borgonzi, a second-year head coach, there's always a question mark where you're not entirely sure exactly which direction they want to go. But I just keep going back to, okay, if you're not going to draft Cam Ward at 1, what is your best avenue to a quarterback? Because Will Levis is going into the seat right now. He is at the top of the depth chart. And Will Levis has not taken control of that job and said, okay, I am a long-term starting quarterback in the league. He hasn't been able to do it to this point. And so, again, if you believe Cam Ward can be a top 12 to 14 quarterback in the league, which several teams do, because if Cam Ward doesn't go 1, he would go 2 to the Browns. The Browns would more than happily take him at number 2. I think we have to look at quarterbacks as kind of like taking bets, right? Like it's such a hard position to evaluate. I don't care, who you are. It's just there's so much that goes into it mentally, physically. And so if you just have to kind of make a bet that, all right, we like this, this, and this. This is what translates. We're going to make a bet on that working and that fitting with our coaches and our personnel. And I think the Titans are ready to do that.
On my buddy Nate Tice's podcast last week, talking about all of the quarterbacks of the non-Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders tier, like the Milrose, the Tyler Shucks, the Jackson Darts. Which one do you think is the best bet, or does it just depend on who's drafting them?
Yeah, I think if Jackson Dart to me is the most intriguing because he is probably has the most talent, but it's going to take some time. That Ole Miss offense really didn't get him ready for this next level. Can he get to the backside read? Can he make those full field progressions? So there's a little more projection with Jackson Dart, but he has the physical tools, the competitiveness, the leadership off the charts. So you like a lot of what Jackson Dart brings to the table. It's just the mental development is going to take time. So if I'm a team like the Browns, who really they need a quarterback pretty quickly, I don't know that Jackson Dart's going to be higher than maybe some of these other quarterbacks. Now, if I'm the Steelers and theoretically Aaron Rodgers could be here for the next year, or even the Giants where you have Russell Wilson starting for the 2025 season, then I think Jackson Dart becomes much more of a strong possibility. If I need someone to start right away, I think I'm leaning towards Tyler Shuck from Louisville, who is a unique player because he's a 7th-year senior. He's going to be a 26-year-old rookie, and you just don't see that a lot. But it's been injuries, and it hasn't been like multiple knee injuries. It's been, a broken leg and a busted shoulder and things that I don't think are going to give teams big red flags moving forward. But for a guy that's that age, this past year at Louisville was the first time he played more than 8 games in a season in 7 years in college. And that's not ideal, but he has the size, the arm. He's a power thrower. He's a twitchy thrower. And he's a good athlete for being a 6'4", 220-pound quarterback. So teams really like Tyler Shuck. And I think both those guys, Jackson Dart, Tyler Shuck, teams in the top 35, top 40, there's a good chance we see them both come off the board.
If Abdul Carter did not have the foot injury, would he be consensus number 1?
No, I don't think so. I really don't think the foot injury has all that much to do with it. I think it just comes down to the Titans. Quarterbacks are just different, right? Quarterbacks. It's hard to rank quarterbacks with other positions because it's a weighted position. The impact level that it brings is just different. And then I think it comes down to, okay, who's the best non-quarterback? Is it Travis Hunter or is it Abdul Carter? And in my opinion, it's Travis Hunter. We have not seen a player like this, how unique he is, can play both sides. He's a dynamic athlete. I would love to play him full-time on defense and then mix in 25-ish plays a game and get him 8 to 10 touches on offense, I think that's the perfect way to use him. But there's a lot of teams that think he's an offensive player first, and then they'll try to figure out something on defense. And I think the Browns, sitting there at number 2, they need to get better on offense. Their offensive scoring was 32nd in the league last year. Third down conversions were 32nd in the league. They need a spark on offense. And if they don't believe in one of these quarterbacks, which I don't think they do at number 2 overall, Travis Hunter does make sense because of the spark he would bring to an offense that just needs any semblance of life.
Where do you think Shedeur Sanders goes? And do you think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback?
That's the big question. It's funny. I like Shedeur Sanders, but you're not allowed to like him. You have to love him or hate him for whatever reason. That's how it's become. And look, I think he can start in the league. It's just, can he truly be a difference maker, a guy that's going to elevate the offense around you, be someone that is going to help drag the team to the playoffs if that's what's needed? I think he needs a situation where everything is clicking around him to really make that happen. And it really comes down to, like, yeah, he's tough, he's smart, he's really poised, but the way he likes to play, I just don't know that he has the physical traits needed to do it. That, like, he wants to play like Jordan Love, where he's going in reverse in the pocket and moving around and throwing off balance, and he just doesn't have the size, the movement skills, the arm. He just doesn't have those type of high-end traits at the position to get away with that consistently at the NFL level. So if I had a chance to draft Shedeur Sanders at 25, 26, I think I would. That's where I would consider him, because I do think he can start in the league. I just think it's going to take a lot more around him for everything to work. But where is he going to land on draft night it's a fascinating question. I think if he does get past 3 with the Giants, the Saints at 9 are a really interesting spot for him. And if he gets past there, then we're talking about the Steelers, and then potentially maybe the Browns or the Giants at early second round trading back into the first to get him. Right now, the over-under on quarterbacks in the first round is 2.5. And I think, you always lean towards taking the over on quarterbacks. It just, the Kenny Pickett year was an aberration. Usually we see more quarterbacks than not go in the first round. So I think I would take the over on that 2.5.
Regarding Shedeur Sanders, if you're going to try and play like Kyler Murray, you better have Kyler Murray's athleticism. If you're going to be doing the backwards in the pocket stuff. I want to speed this up because we've got a lot to get to, and we've got too many questions and not a lot of time left. So let's hit him with the pressurized music and see if I can get quick answers to quick questions here. The most overhyped player in the draft right now is blank.
The most overhyped player in the draft is, that's tough. It would have to be Shedeur Sanders, right? I mean, it's just, he's a good player, but to take him top 5 overall, I think is a stretch.
Somebody who's going to go higher in the draft than most mock drafts are predicting is blank.
Let's go with Jalen Walker, the pass rusher / linebacker from Georgia. A little bit of a hybrid, can do it all.
The player with the measurables that awed you the most was blank.
Shamar Stewart, Texas A&M pass rusher. Seeing him up close to the Senior Bowl, that burst. I mean, guys that are 6'4", 270 pounds, they shouldn't be able to move like him. He had a 40-inch vert. He is a freak, the freak of all freaks. 1.5 sacks last year, but he will be a top 20 pick because he's just different than everybody else.
How many sacks?
1.5.
What the hell? What the hell? What do you mean 1.5? That's 1.5 more than Greg Cody.
Part of it's usage. Part of it's, he had a lot of pressures. He just didn't finish in the pocket. So there's something there. He is one of the wild cards of this draft because he is different. He's kind of like the Travon Walker of this draft, where maybe the tape doesn't always line up, but the traits are crazy. And we know NFL teams, they don't draft stats. They draft traits.
Great vert.
Spot that you'd like to see Tyler Warren land in.
Chicago at 10. I think it's an underrated spot. Pair him with Ben Johnson. He could be his Sam Laporta. They run a lot of 12 personnel, so Cole, with Kmet still there, it still works. Add another pass catcher to that offense. I think it makes a lot more sense than people think.
The possible team matching with possible player that excites you the most other than that one is blank.
I think Will Campbell to the Patriots, they've been kind of looking for that left tackle, and it's maybe not the sexiest position talking about offensive linemen, but I want to help Drake May because Drake May, what he did last year without an offensive line, without a ton of help around him, you give him that help. You add Stephon Diggs at receiver. All right, let's give him a blindside protector, and I think Will Campbell can do that.
True or false, you worry about someone when you ask about how excited they are and they mention a left tackle.
True. There's nothing wrong with that. Left tackles are instrumental to a team's success, so it matters.
The weakest draft since blank.
The Kenny Pickett draft, where we had one quarterback in the top 73 picks, and Travon Walker went number 1 overall. It's not a bad draft, but it's definitely relatively weaker than we've seen in the last 2-3 years.
Is this year finally a good year to accept that maybe more than one running back should go in the first round?
Yes, and more than one running back will go in the first round. Ashton Genty will be a top 10 pick, and then it's okay, where does Omarion Hampton go? 12 to the Cowboys. I have a hard time seeing him get past 20 with the Broncos, which would be a perfect fit for both Bo Nix and Sean Payton, but also the running back and what that could mean for the Broncos as they try to unseat the Chiefs in the AFC West.
A better example than you being a maximum football dork at Mount Union as a freshman than you minoring in football player evaluation is blank.
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I have a good answer for that one. Because you know what? I'm from Northeast Ohio, and the Browns came back in '99, and I was just like 12 years old looking at, okay, Tim Couch, Ricky Williams, like this is fascinating. It was like an instant thing. Scouting is what I need to do. And look, my dad's not a coach, like I don't have an uncle who's an owner. Like how else are you going to get into the league? That's what this draft guide's about, trying to create something. And it got me several interviews in the league. And I just happen to be geared or kind of torn to this media side, and I've really enjoyed it.
It's available today at theathletic.com. It's the definitive draft guide known as The Beast. I'm going to really put you on the spot here, make you speed it up with a name and just a sentence of evaluation on the following. You are an amateur barbecue pitmaster. I'm going to give you an assortment of meats. You give me the first player that comes to mind when I mention that meat. Texas brisket is hot and smoky. Who you got?
Let's go with Travis Hunter because talking about versatility. You can do so much with brisket. You could shred it. You could slice it. You could put it on mac and cheese. You can do so many things with it. So versatility. I'll go Travis Hunter.
Prime rib.
I mean that's the king, right? That's so who's going number 1 overall? Cam Ward. So I mean prime rib. That's at the top of the list, and Cam Ward's going to go first. So we'll go Cam.
Memphis ribs, slow and dry.
Let's go with Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan, who is going to be a top 7 pick. Nothing really sexy about him, but you know what? You don't walk away from drafting Mason Graham and think, oh, we didn't get better, or that was a bad pick. You're not going to think that way. Same way with ribs.
KC pulled pork, sweet and tangy.
Sweet and tangy. So let's go with Shamar Stewart, who I mentioned as being a toolsy, traitsy guy. It's easy to be enticed by the different ways he can move. But you know what? It's maybe the payoff isn't there.
Porterhouse steak.
Ooh.
Oh, gosh. I mean, Ashton Genty. I mean, you can make a case he's the best player in the draft. You can make a case Porterhouse steak is the number 1 thing you want to order on the menu.
Tenderloin roast.
Oh, man. Let's go Abdul Carter. With a slab of beef like that, Abdul Carter, the way he can rush a passer, it works.
You're just picking names. I mean, he's good at it. He's great at this game.
You can't question the way he did that. What we did was totally unfair to him.
He's just picking names out.
Yeah, okay, but what we did was not right or
stick
fair.
And pick.
Or stick and pick. Thank you for being on with us. Cody hasn't listened since you said stick and pick. Thank you, sir.
Anytime. Thank you, guys.